My name is Paul Shelley, welcome to the AstroHistorian, and welcome to the lore tours of IAE 2952. Join me on the floor for your tour. It's Minor Manufacturers Day on the floor of IAE. Today we'll be going over a brief history of these manufacturers before talking about the lore of the ships on the floor. Remember, if you like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button, as we will be doing a video for every manufacturer during IAE. With that being said, let's learn about the smaller and more niche manufacturers of the verse. The first manufacturer we will look at is actually one of the oldest in the verse, Argo Astronautics. Founded in 2243 by Alana Redmond, the company started life working on trains. Redmond was an engineer who worked on the Trans-American Maglev train route. This system was getting old, and when she saw a bit of scrap metal melted to the rail during a maintenance stop, she had an idea to build a system that repaired the track as the train ran. This system became an instant seller, and Argo took off, eventually becoming the premier train engine, track, and systems manufacturer on Earth. Argo expanded to do rail networks in other worlds, starting with Mars, but eventually discovered that the true delays in their networks had nothing to do with trains, but with the ships that were to load and unload with the trains. So they developed the orbital utility craft, which worked as a small freight shuttle. This became so popular that the company pivoted away from trains to spaceships, building more ships dedicated to improving infrastructure. Let's see what Argo has to offer for us on the floor today. The first, oldest, and most dear to my heart is the Multi-Purpose Utility Vehicle, or MPUV. This was developed from the OUC sometime before 2665 to replace the aging design and help future-proof it. The key to the success of the MPUV is its modularity. The ship can take a number of different pods to use as its main fuselage. These include cargo, personnel, repair, and even a search and rescue module. This has allowed the ship to pivot with modern updates over the years by simply improving or introducing new models. The ship is standard issue on every capital ship in the UE fleet, common at most space stations, and often one of the first ships a new pilot will learn to fly. Because it's cheap and simple to operate, it is a very common sight in the UAE. The next Argo design is a more modern one, the Mole. This multi-crew miner was first built in 2849 and revealed at IAE that year. It's a large ship with a crew of up to 4 with 3 separate mining heads, mineral pods for storage, crew quarters, and upgraded mining hardware to crack tougher rocks. Its unique feature was that the side mining arms actually are exposed to the vacuum of space. This allows the system to be simpler to operate and to fix, though increasing the operations cost and risk. The Raft is the next ship on the floor. Built in 2951, this ship is designed explicitly for shorter cargo hauls in locations with limited infrastructure. The universe of the 30th century has little to no up-to-date infrastructure outside of the core systems. Many stations are coming up on several centuries of upkeep and maintenance, and frontier worlds are often just lucky to have a pad able to support more than an Aurora, let alone the dockyards to load and unload ships. The Raft was designed explicitly to deal with this issue by bringing the crane with the ship, drastically speeding up loading times and thus profits. The last ship is still in development, but will soon reach the verse, the SRV. This is a space tow truck with a crew of 1 and a massive tractor beam rig. It can haul medium ships through quantum and help salvage and repair them, and also help carry large crates from ground to orbit and vice versa, all while being protected by thick armor. The next manufacturer is Consolidated Outland. Founded in Stalford on Rytiff in the Bremen system by quote-unquote rebel trillionaire Silas Kerner, this manufacturer has set its sights on unseating RSI as the premier spacecraft manufacturer of the 30th century. Kerner was born a billionaire with his family from old money on the planet, being one of the founding families of Stalford. He has always been a spaceship enthusiast and vocal about his disdain for modern space designs. So, after managing to invest half his wealth into a communications company that took off, and investing into Earth Seafood, which also took off, he has trillions to his name with nothing to do. Thus, he turned his wealth into his passion. Initially, Consolidated Outland simply built third-party conversion kits, including its most popular one, which converted the appearance of the F-7C Hornet into an F-7A Hornet. This became the big break for the company. Afterwards, they began to work on their first true ship, the Mustang, which launched the company into the position they are now, the main up-and-coming manufacturer of the verse. Let's see what the boy from Bremen has to offer on the floor today. First off is the classic Mustang series. Boldly claiming that the ship was so advanced it would set the benchmark for innovations and excellence, the ship series has made a splash when it was first introduced in 2944. It was designed to unseat the venerable Aurora, with the ad campaign by CNOU depicting the classic RSI starter as boring and outdated, which seemed to work. While there was an experimental twin Mustang design, the testing resulted in some catastrophic failure and was eventually scrapped, discussed later by Kerner as a very bad idea from the start. Every Mustang is equipped similarly with at least 2 size 1 and 2 size 2 weapon mounts and all size 1 components. The main Mustang most people are familiar with is the Alpha. Coming standard with a small 4 SCU cargo hold, this ship is the most versatile of the line, able to do double duty as a combat ship and freight hauler. The next is the Beta. This exploration variant has personal habitation section and a slightly extended range to keep its pilots out in the black for longer. The Delta is the militia variant of the ship, with a combination of 2 Hurston Dynamics dumbfire rocket pods and bespoke stealth armor. The ship is tooled for war. The Gamma is the racing variant with an improved power plant and extra engines, which allows the ship to accelerate faster than its cousins. The next ship is one of the more anticipated ones in the verse, the Pioneer. Taking inspiration from the manufacturing plants for Mustangs on Bremen, CNOU decided to build a flying factory, with the intention of giving people the power to build their own custom outposts on distant worlds without having to rely on prefab manufacturers. Announced at IAE 2947, it was sold as a one-stop shop for any colonists looking to start a new life on the rugged frontier. The Nomad was released in 2950 as a hover-skid open-back cargo hauler. Embracing hover tech for the landing gear, the ship was designed as a middle ship between the beginner ships and the more professional starter ships like the Hull B. With a roomy 24 SCU of cargo, sealed personal cabin, inbuilt cargo tractor beam, and the weapons to protect it, the Nomad has found its place in many people's hearts in the verse for just how flexible it is. The last CNO ship available on the floor is the Hover Quad. Initially developed to pair with the Nomad, the Hover Quad is a hover snub similar to the Drake Dragonfly. Taking the technology developed for the Nomad to the next level, the Hover Quad was released in 2951 and took much of the hoverbike community by storm. It is very rugged and able to traverse very broken ground, and is also able to be flown in space as an open-topped racer. The next company was founded as a mining supply company on Mars by Otis Broussard in 2337. Named Greycat after the nickname Otis had after his hair turned gray by the time he was 20. However, Greycat didn't rise to fame until his daughter Pippa took over. Pippa hired an old friend, Reuben Pardue, who had suffered a mining accident and had left his old job. Reuben and Pippa had known one another in college, and she knew just how brilliant he was. She needed someone to design and build new tech to be made in their new Angeli manufacturing plant, and he was the perfect candidate. This would prove crucial as Pardue not only produced new equipment, but equipment like the Ariel mining armor, Pyro multi-tool, and PTV. These inventions catapulted the company into fame and wealth, as they literally couldn't keep up with the demand for their products. Let's find out what Greycat has on the floor of this IAE. First is the venerable Personal Transport Vehicle, or PTV. Designed originally as an armored mining buggy to allow for safe passage in dangerous mines, the teams of the factory that built the PTV enjoyed driving it up and down the factory floor so much, they changed the design by removing the armored roof and selling the vehicle as an all-purpose transport for those on the frontier and in teeming cities. Shortly after the success of the PTV, Greycat would develop the Remote Ore Collector, or ROC. It was small enough to fit in the cargo bay of many ships and powerful enough to laser mine and collect deposits that were too large for hand miners and too small for larger ones. It was successful enough to get another variant, the ROC Dual Seat, or ROC DS, which grants control of the mining arm to an exterior operator. Next on the list is the Sport Terrain Vehicle, or STV, which the community has affectionately dubbed the Steve. This off-road touring vehicle is the first from-the-ground-up vehicle not designed with mining in mind. It has great top speed and is rugged enough to survive intense weather changes and other damage. It's in the same family as the PTV and the yet-to-be-sold Utility Terrain Vehicle, or UTV. Last but not least, Greycat make the remote ore extractor known as the Sidnus Mining Spider. This semi-autonomous ship is favored by large corporations like Shubin for their flexibility and their relatively lower work costs. The last manufacturer on the floor today is the smallest and also the largest, Kruger Intergalactic. Kruger was founded in 2558 by Ozel Kruger on her home planet of Borea in the Magnus system as a parts manufacturer. It started out landing big contracts with Bering and RSI, making everything from firing pins to crucial capital ship components. When business dried up in Magnus and its contracts were threatened due to increased pirate activity in Magnus, the company moved to the recently opened system of Castra in 2789. It was there that an off-comment by an executive at a board meeting changed their direction. The executive joked that Kruger made all the parts for a gun except for the gun itself. This led to the creation of their first in-house weapon, the ballistic Tiger Strike Gatling gun, which became the stock loadout for the Aegis Avenger. This experiment worked so well that Kruger then pivoted to making their first ships, building the 2 ships we have on the floor today for RSI. While they remain a vital parts manufacturer, the futures may still be bright for this budding ship manufacturer. The ships we have from Kruger are the twin variants of the Constellation Snub Fighters, the P-52 Merlin and P-72 Archimedes. These ships were designed to be sold with the latest generation of RSI constellations to add range and firepower to the ships. While the P-52 is available on most Connie variants, the P-72 only comes with a luxury Connie Phoenix, though both can be purchased separately and can dock with all variants except for the Taurus. The P-52 features a miniature version of the Tiger Strike built into its chassis, while the P-72 drops this for more size 1 weapon mounts and an extra intake to become more of a racer. Both can dock with any constellation that has a docking cradle, meaning it's easy to swap one for the other. That's what's on offer here at the floor of IAE 2952 today. Make sure to come down and check out the ships for free for a limited time. If you haven't already signed up for Star Citizen, then use the referral code on screen now or in the description to sign up for free and try them out yourself. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to subscribe for more videos of the floor of IAE 2952. And if you enjoyed this video, think about leaving a like. If you really want to help out the channel, think about becoming a YouTube member or Patreon. For now, let me know what your thoughts are on these smaller manufacturers in the comments below. And as always, remember, ex Historia ad Astra.